All right, we are back, and Joe's running off.
I guess he got camera shy.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we are back, and we are here today with East Coast Spirit Chasers. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Good.
great,
Hi.
thank you.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming in. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of a question here, and this is, like I said, we can do the round robin, so we can start up here at the top and work our way around or whatever. So, just curiosity here for the people that don't know you and haven't actually seen your website or worked with you or anything. What got you interested and started in the paranormal?
So I guess I'll go first if I'm at the
Yeah.
top. I don't know how this works. So what got me interested in the paranormal is actually my teacher, who is actually on the team, Dave Legender. He runs a paranormal club, or did, at my high school. And I was just interested, and I had him as a teacher, so I kept asking him all these questions about it. And eventually he was like, hey, I want you to come out. And then, you know, I got on my first investigation. I was hooked ever since, and I'm so thankful that he brought me into this opportunity.
Cool. Joe?
I guess I'll go next in this
Dave?
order, but
No, we can go like this.
I will confirm CJ was hooked once he went the first time. I knew he was going to want to come on every one week he could. What got me involved was some strange activity at my house. This house was built for me. I'm the original owner, and my son kept telling me the house was haunted. And I said, I'm the original owner. If anybody's going to haunt this house, it's going to be me. There was nothing here prior to this house being built, but his abilities, he was able to see certain things, and he was having experiences when he was young. But what capped it off for me was a broken music box played at midnight in my house. And I heard it go off a couple times, and I tried to open it and have it play on its own by myself, and it wouldn't work. And then I realized it was midnight. It was the birthday of a deceased relative that had died 5 years before.
Okay.
So at that point, I was all in and investigating and learning more, and I contacted Nick.
Cool. All right. Next.
You want to do Terry, Travis, Joe, and then finish with me in the middle?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll go because I'm trying to keep in order. It's pretty much every kid, when they're 13, 14 years old, everyone does weird New Jersey. They get the books. They do all this crazy stuff. And, my group of friends and I, we kind of took it to that next level. We try to go to as many places as possible. I remember I got a recorder for like $5 offline. Try to be like, the guys on TV. And ever since then, I was kind of just digging more deep into it. And I was fortunate to get linked up with Nick and to kind of see the other side of things. It's not just, talking to recorders and, trying to find spooky things, There's a lot more to, and I was fortunate enough, again, to be connected with Nick to kind of see the other side of it. And now there's just so many more possibilities. I'm still learning every day. I've been on the team about a year. I've probably been on the least investigations because I have the craziest work schedule. But
we want to get into his work to actually investigate.
Yeah,
like,
so
tell him what you do.
Yeah, I work in a prison. So
Awesome.
I'm one of the officers in there. So there's a lot of crazy stuff in there. I'm dying for us to get in, but it's tough on ethics and all that stuff.
How long you been working at the prison?
About 2 years.
He started as an inmate and then graduated from there.
I was an honorary CO. I was the runner. I used to always help him out. And then one day they just gave me the keys and said, "Hey, I could do this too." So I broke out, went to the academy, and took it from there.
Oh, there you go.
I guess we'll go and then we'll finish with you guys.
Yeah. So Travis and I got into this when he was 14. He asked to go on an investigation for his birthday. So we went to Gettysburg because we live fairly close to Gettysburg. And we all know how haunted Gettysburg is. And we saw stuff the first night out.
Really?
So at that point, I didn't know that Travis could see things. So he kept that a secret until we were on the team. And I think Nick might have been the first one to realize that he could see things. So everybody else knew before me. But ever since then, we've been hooked. We randomly ran into Nick in a prison. We were both investigating Moundsville separately, and we ran into each other there, and we've been together ever since.
Cool.
And I guess, well, for me, I've always been interested in the paranormal. I always watch the shows, and all that good stuff. And then one day he actually reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to come out on an investigation in Gettysburg. And I came out and we were investigating a bed and breakfast. And the night, as I was going to bed after the investigation, I actually heard a disembodied voice whisper in my ear. At the time, I thought it was hey, but when I told him the next morning what had happened, he reviewed the footage, and it turns out there was a woman's spirit in my room who was actually asking for help. And since then, I was in.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And as far as me, I didn't really watch like the Ghost Adventure shows and stuff like that at the time. I was always fascinated with paranormal, and my girlfriend at the time, she's like, "Oh, let's watch My Ghost Story," and I was like, "All right." And it's basically just everyday people. It's not teams or anything like that, and just everyday people going out and showing the evidence that they caught. So I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I could do that." So I was like, "Well, let me get a digital recorder and a camera, and that's all I'll need." And several years later, and $20,000 worth of equipment later, I'm still using the digital recorder and camera mainly instead of everything else, really. And I've been hooked from then. Once you have like your first experience where you're like, wow, it's just such an adrenaline rush, and it's just, what else? I want to learn more.
Yeah, Dale was asking if that was the Farnsworth house that you were talking about.
We've been to the Farnsworth house before. We've dealt with dark energy there, and we actually had two investigators with us. It was actually Dave's niece and her son. His son. And something was going on in the Bell Boyd suite, which was in that, the room that they were staying in. And we ended up having to get them out to put them into a hotel because it wasn't safe for them. And I remember when we were leaving, we were, bringing them out of the room, and we looked back, and the chandelier was even shaking. It was crazy. Like they were pushed. I think the bed was nudged. We found a portal that was in the bathroom there. Travis ended up getting a photo of a black mist on the Polaroid camera that was in the bathroom. I mean, it was just off the wall. And we were staying there that night, and Melissa was like, "Let's keep the lights on for this place here." So.
Yeah, we used on that investigation. We had the 3D connector. We had a figure coming out of the mirror.
That's right,
and
we did.
The mirror was a portal, and the figure kept touching my son, and he got ill shortly afterwards.
It looked like it was strangling Brian at the time.
Yeah, and he got very ill. We actually sent my niece and my son to a hotel that night. They didn't spend the night in that room.
That was actually my first investigation, and I was really
Welcome to the paranormal, Joe.
Yeah, I was pretty spooked, but I was also kind of like, wow. Like I was saying earlier, that's the other side of things that you don't see. Going to the Devil's Tower and driving around 3 times.
Right. Now, was that the on your website? Was that the Bergen house that you were talking about?
The Bergen house, that's the one that's in Bergen, New York, and it's just this dilapidated-looking barn farmhouse. And when you're driving up to the location, it's just this little dirt road, and only one car can go down there, and there's just potholes everywhere. And the potholes are so deep, you got to go like 5 miles an hour. So if you wanted to flee from there and haul ass, you're not going to be able to do that. But I mean, the stuff that we got at Bergen House, it was crazy. When we met the owner, Kathy, she was like, "Oh, we have this spirit in the attic. You have to ask permission to come up there, otherwise he'll do something to you. We've got witches and stuff here. We've got like poisonous swamp. We got basically everything from like UFOs to Bigfoot and all kinds of stuff in her backyard." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." But I mean, the evidence that we got was incredible. It started off with in the attic. We ended up getting an EVP. It was a voice that said, "My name is Hell." Travis ended up getting touched. He started, he ran from the spot that he was in. And then the music box that we had in the bedroom starts going off. So we go in there, and Dave starts taking all these photos, and we basically caught like a manifestation of a spirit that was turning into this giant shadow.
Yeah,
And
mist.
yeah, and it's on our .com under the gallery, and you'll see it starts off with like these little white mists, and then the last photo is just this big black shadow, and you can still see the blue of the wall. Like this thing was humongous. It was really impressive photo that they took.
What made that photo weird was I was clicking very quick, and I had tons of photos that were normal, and you could see the light, and you would see the little white orbs forming, and then boom, this middle photo was this black figure in front of me, and then 1 second later, it was back to normal again. And then we used the spirit box, and we knew the name of the guy who was supposed to haunt the attic. And Nick asked in the spirit box, was this Mr. So-and-so? And the answer we got back was, my name is Hell. And we all just looked at each other. And the owner was fine with it. She's like, he's just trying to scare you. Don't worry about it. And she slept there that night. So in the room with the portal.
That's gotta be crazy.
Yeah. But it's crazy because you have like all this crazy stuff that happen in these places, and people are like, no way, I want to stay there. But we're like those people, like, I want to stay there. I want to stay in this room where stuff happened. Like, for instance, we did Lizzie Borden house recently, and I was fortunate to be in the room that the stepmother was hacked. So, I was showing people, because you have the old photo from the crime scene, and I was showing people like the side by side. I'm like, look, we're going to be right here. And they're like, are you crazy? I'm like, yes, yes, I am. So, but
I think honestly, you got to be a little bit, just a little bit on the weird side to do this.
Oh, we're all weird.
We're all weird for sure.
Yeah.
Dale mentioned Cashtown.
I love Cashtown.
There you go.
Cashtown was great, and there's actually a really funny clip on our Facebook page, and I'm in front of one of the rooms, and we were actually fortunate. We stayed there when there was nobody else staying there, so we had the whole place to ourselves. And I'm asking, what room number am I standing in front of? And we actually got a voice that says "F you," and I was like, well, that's not nice. But it's funny when you get like spirits with sense of humor that play along a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, occasionally. So I also noticed that some of your equipment, you guys use the Mobile Connect.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also noticed that a lot of people seem to be using that lately. Is that really a good device to use?
It is, but you have to be smart the way that you use it. The way that it works, it's technology that video game used, Microsoft Xbox. Used to be for motion games.
Copyrighted. We don't want to get in trouble.
Copyrighted, yeah. So basically it's a camera, and it puts out a whole bunch of dots, and if there's movement, then it'll assign like a stick figure. So that's the way that it works in paranormal too. You can't see something, but there's something moving. However, what you have to consider is what's in the background of that, because it can create false positives. There could be like
a lamp or a coat rack
that'll map it out as a figure, because it's seeing this like figure like thing, and if you move the camera right, it'll assign something to it. So you gotta always pay attention. What's that?
At the Phelps Hotel in the basement, they put a lot of storage, and there was a boatload of Christmas trees down there. Mm-hmm. So here I am with the Connect Cam, like just doing my own business, and I turn, I'm like, oh my god, it's everywhere. And then I called Nick over, because once I see something, I'll call somebody over immediately, and we noticed it was framing the Christmas trees. So it could just be a regular pole, but that technology is going to give that pole like hands and stuff, because that's all it knows.
Right.
It's effective, but a flawed technology, though.
Yes.
Okay. So, out of all of your equipment that you use, what is your favorite?
Probably Terry and CJ. They're the ones with the
So they've
abilities.
been
So
classified. They've been classified as equipment now.
yeah, and well,
Pretty much.
Travis too. But I mean, if they say, "Yo, there's something going on," then I'll take that over, a piece of equipment, because I mean, their bodies are the equipment itself.
Right.
Um,
Unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah, we have
It's
batteries in CJ every once in a while.
yeah.
it is
We,
nice to have people who are sensitive with you.
well, we've
To
got
be
a few of them. Missy couldn't make the show today, and she's very experienced medium, and she's been mentoring CJ and Terry. Travis, he's very seasoned. He can see things. He can talk to them. He's actually got a spirit friend, Eric, that follows him around.
He just told
Um,
me Eric's actually here with us.
oh, maybe he should get his window too to pop in
Right.
on the chat.
Maybe Eric, if you squeeze in right here, they might be able to see you.
Yeah, and Terry's like a human EMF detector, and I mean she'll just feel things. Like you walk in the room, she's like, "There's something here," and
Not quite
she
that dramatic, but
yeah. But the interesting thing is she's always been sensitive, but she really opened up when we went to the Conjuring house back in October, and her and Missy, they held hands and they were doing a walkthrough, and they're basically just feeling energy off of each other. Like one would feel when someone was gonna feel something, and vice versa. And since then, like, it unlocked Terry, and now she can like look at a photo and do a read on it, and it's just developing.
right.
And CJ, when we first brought him on the team, he was just a cameraman, and from where he started from the paranormal club to now, it's incredible. The progression, and as short of a time that he's really upped his game.
I would say the first time that Terry raised my eyebrow, we went into Joe. What do you call the investigation? Who hooked up with us?
The Masonic.
Masonry Lodge?
Yeah,
We were in a Masonic lodge, and we were up there, and we were there for like a minute and a half in the main room. And Terry said something just touched my leg, and a minute later, she's like, "I don't feel good," and she ran out and started throwing up in the next room, and we're all like, "What was that?" And then we realized she was a female in a room that male onlys were allowed in.
Yep.
And it's like they wanted to get her out right away. And I was kind of like, wow, they got to her real quick.
and I was sitting in one of those, like right on the side where the important people would sit.
Yeah.
Right in view of the door. Like as soon as they would walk in, we were first to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Masonic lodges. That's pretty interesting because I'm a little jealous now because I'd really like to do an investigation in one. I actually got the opportunity to go into a Masonic lodge with a cousin of mine who was actually going to try and get me into the Masons, but I never followed through with it. And it's pretty impressive to see it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, with having a female in that lodge like that, I can see how they would target her first.
Well, what we noticed in that lodge too was they immediately played games with us because the equipment activated right away where we would have a REM pod go off on one end and we'd run over to film it, and then the music box would play on the other side. And, and then it switched to the REM pod, and then we realized we're just running back and forth. This must be intentional at this point.
Yep.
So
I see that happening.
There were things that happened that would be traditionally that would happen during the beginning of a meeting, and we heard things that had happened without obviously getting into too much detail. Right after certain things happened, that's when Terry felt it on her leg, and I've never seen her run that fast. And I'm chasing behind her. I like to consider myself a decent runner, but she was just like out. And then she just went to the toilet and just.
They overdosed her with some bad energy.
Yeah, they didn't want to. They didn't want to see her in there. And Terry was just maybe because Terry was the most sensitive one there. That was a female. She was probably the most.
Mm-hmm. And also Travis had some big contributions because he was seeing gentlemen a lot of the night, and there's a wall with them where they have photos of a lot of the people that have passed away and all, and he was able to identify one of the people that he saw right from the wall.
That's pretty cool. That is really cool. So, out of all your investigations that you've done, what is your absolute favorite?
For
Okay, I
me,
was gonna say Lizzie.
and I had to think about this for a long time. If you were asking me what the creepiest one was, it was the Bergen house that we were talking about. But the most active by far was the Lizzie Borden house. From the minute we got there to the minute we left, it was just insane. And I definitely want to go back to that one. And I got to sleep in Lizzie's room that night.
So, I think all of you probably have different favorite ones, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like for me, it would be St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia, and we had so much stuff going on there. I had a different team at the time, and it was turning people against people. Someone got choked in the bowling alley there. We were hearing pig squeals
Yeah.
coming through the ghost box. I was in one of the patients' rooms, and she had a baby fetus, and she had to store it away in one of the rooms, and it was discovered. She was so upset that she hanged herself in the suicide bathroom. So we had a little toy doll that we put into this little cubby hole that she kept her baby fetus in a jar in, and I had like the most violent yank on my sweater. It was like yanked down, and I was like, whoa. And just everything about that place, just the EVPs, the creepiness of it, that was probably easily my favorite one.
Cool. Anyone else?
I mean, for me, I agree. Lizzie Borden is that's my favorite because between Travis and CJ, we cracked the case. So just to know that I believe it's right that we know the truth about what happened back then. I think is amazing. And the fact that that they tried so hard for us not to figure it out.
Yeah, they were taking people out one by one.
What was the maid's name? What was I know her
Bridget Sullivan.
Maggie was her.
Maggie.
Bridget was her name.
Her name is Bridget Sullivan. The girls called her Maggie as an insult because she
I was trying to figure out. I couldn't remember Bridget.
Yeah.
DJ keeps trying to jump in.
I was gonna say, if you think about that investigation, we only investigated one room within 2 hours, and we pretty much had everything we needed.
We had
so
the
that's
whole building, and I think we only did 2 rooms in the entire night. We had so much activity, we couldn't leave the rooms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the main reasons we want to go back. But.
And one of the cool things was that CJ and Travis both saw, they were shown what happened during the murder, which I thought was really fascinating. We believe that it was Mrs. Borden that showed them. I had CJ laid down where Mrs. Borden was murdered, and he saw the whole thing happen. And then I was in one of the back rooms down the hall, and I was there with Travis, and he points and he's like, I see a woman there. So that's going into the room where Mrs. Borden was hacked up. And, we went in there, and he sees Mrs. Borden, and she's, like doing something on the edge of the bed there where her body was found. And he saw the uncle come in with the axe and hit her. And apparently Lizzie was the lookout on it. And then, Mr. Borden came down at home. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they ended up taking him out also.
Wow.
The reason being is Mr. Borden was killing the alibi because the uncle was supposed to go get his alibi fixed. And with Mr. Borden being there, he puts him at the place of the scene of the crime. So Travis saw the uncle getting nervous and Lizzie getting nervous. And then after a while, he finally went at the Mr. Borden and then ran out to create an alibi, which was just too much of an alibi. Just to memorize the license hat of a trolley driver and 6 different priests' names that he was talking to on a trolley when he was English and they were Irish, and he probably normally wouldn't have even talked to him to begin with. It just sounded like he had set up an alibi all afternoon, and that Mr. Borden almost destroyed that alibi. So we pieced a lot together. And at the end of that, when we were communicating with the uncle, I got drained. And I had taken a 5-hour energy shot earlier, and I was wide awake. And 2 minutes later, I felt like I was on anesthesia. I heard them talking to me and about me, but I wasn't responding, and I was kind of going out pretty quick. And we had 11 people there, and only 6 of us spent the night. 5 had to leave and sleep at a hotel.
Everybody was getting nauseous and throwing up. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like that before. CJ ended up getting affected the worst. He got singled out, and we feel that Bridget, the maid, was kind of trying to protect him. And at one point during the ghost box, she said, close him up because he's so open. And I guess he didn't close himself up enough. He kept throwing up. We had to get him and put him into a hotel. Thankfully, Joe's got some hotel connections that we were able to set something up, as late as we did. And it was a bad deal for CJ that time.
It was funny, though, when that was happening, I was talking with my mentor, Missy, and she kept saying, open up. And right around the same time, we got that over the spirit box saying, close up. So it's crazy how, the timeline fit exactly to what was going on.
Right. But it was funny that everyone that was throwing up, as soon as they get outside, they would recover and be okay. And then when they felt good enough to go back in the house, it started immediately again when they walked in the front of the door.
Mm-hmm. That's typically what we'll do. But what was uniquely different with CJ's situation, the reason why we all decided to kind of pull the plug and get him out of here, like Dave said, you leave their area, you're fine. But CJ was still being affected outside. That's this is a problem. We got to go.
And then after CJ left, they targeted me, which is funny because I felt them chasing me out the door as I went to puke. But I also felt them stabbing me in the back, like what would have felt like I was getting stabbed in the back. But CJ was at his hotel room not watching us on our live, and he felt the same thing. So CJ and Missy and I have this crazy connection now where we feel each other. Like if CJ has a headache,
right. Your energies are flowing through each other at that point.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, very much.
I never saw Jerry complain about her back before. That was the first time I ever saw her. She literally went out throwing. She fell down and started screaming, my back, and she had her hand on her back, and we had stuff going on in every direction. It just seemed like, it was a fire drill, and you were just constantly moving.
So it sounds like there was a lot of bad energy there.
Yeah, we feel that it was.
Want us to know the truth. Sorry, CJ.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing.
We feel it was like
I have a live haunting going on right now because my MacBook keeps draining faster than it's ever drained before. So I got to go plug this in again. Holy cow.
Oh, Dave.
Okay, Nick, were you going to say something there?
I was going to say we felt that it was Lizzie and the uncle that were kind of, CJ was like a wounded person in the ocean, and they were like the sharks sensing the blood and circling him. That's basically what that investigation was for him.
I tend to have problems protecting and grounding myself, which leads me into some trouble sometimes, but we're working on it.
You're grounded.
Yeah.
He's a work in progress.
No, that's okay. It's okay to be that way. I'm not. I'm one of them too that can kind of sense things around me. I just haven't gotten the understanding and the training that I need for it myself. But I see where he's coming from with it. You got to kind of learn how to close yourself off before It's kind of like a Ouija board. Once you open that portal in the Ouija board, you've got to close it. Otherwise, everything starts coming through.
Or you can just not touch Ouija boards in the first place.
Nope. What was that, Joe?
You can just not touch a Ouija board in the first place.
I got 2 of them. Want to see one?
I've had a bad experience with a Ouija board. I'll never touch one again.
I'm with you.
I don't think I've ever heard someone say, "I'm so glad I played with that Ouija board."
Hey, I was 8 years old when I used one by myself, and it actually told me in the end that it wanted to take me to hell with it.
Wow. Well, my experience, I was in I don't remember if it was high school or college, something like that. It's just such a blur at this point. But we would play with the Ouija board, and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna do it by myself to see if anybody's moving it. And even if I didn't have a Ouija board, I would draw it out and use a penny and, do it. And all of a sudden I started having so much bad luck. And a lot of the sessions I would have would be in my car. It was a 1989 Chevy Corsica, which I ended up renaming the Cursica because of all the problems that I had with it. And, like one thing would go on the car, the next week something else would go on it. And it was like 5 weeks in a row that something went in the car. And then I was coming from class to my car, and my car is it's like engulfed in flames. So I had bad luck after that. And then eventually, I guess,
Damn.
whatever attachment that I had from it, it went away, and I've been good since then. And that's my last time that I'll mess with a Ouija board.
Oh, maybe it all just kind of targeted the car and stuck to the car.
Well,
Might be
my
white.
wallet too. It had an attachment to my wallet.
Ah.
You didn't name the car Christine?
I should have, right?
That was a good movie. So if you guys been at this for a while, got quite the resume on your website, which I recommend people checking that out. It's very interesting. But this is a little round the table here. Each one of you can answer this. What is on your bucket list? What place do you really, really, really want to get to someday in the future that you haven't been to yet?
There's a bunch for me, but if I had to narrow it down, I really want to get to the Axe House in Iowa. I don't know why I'm drawn to it, why I want to be there, but when we do that trip to Midwest, I've always said we should hit Deadwood, where Nick has already been. I want to go to Deadwood and then maybe hook around to Iowa and hit the Axe House. And I'm not going to say I'll call it a career, but let's just say I will be very happy to get that on the resume.
DJ?
I wouldn't say that I have like any bucket list. I'm still very new to this, so any bucket list location, I was lucky enough to go to Lizzie and The Conjuring, which are two huge locations in my first year doing this. So, I'm proud with that, and whatever else comes our way, I'll be grateful with that as well. So I don't really have one.
I really want to go to an abandoned asylum, prison, anything like that. There's a cat.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely anywhere we can go. That's any sort of asylum or prison would be awesome for me. That's been on my bucket list for a while.
I'd love to do, like Waverly Hills, Trans-Allegheny, and if I can make my way out to California, I'd love to do the Dorothea Puente house or the Omen house, where the Sharon Tate murders happened on that ground.
Yeah, I don't have a specific location either, just more of a type. Like I'm obsessed with schools and orphanages and stuff like that. So any of those kinds.
Sounds like you like to communicate with the children.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Spirits.
For me, I'm thinking Myrtle's Plantation down in New Orleans. That's one of my biggest bucket list places. So, any place special you want to go?
Anything that has to do with ice cream.
It's haunted by Dr. Mudd.
We should have known. We should have known.
We're going to haunt the Carvel for you, Trevor.
Dairy Queen.
Yeah, hey, I want to let any Carvels that are haunted, let us know. We'll travel.
Know.
Yeah.
We'll send Travis in there. He'll get them all out.
Or what is this? The Cold Stone Creamery?
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen.
Any of you guys.
Any of them. Rita's.
Oh, we got
Rita's is one of his favorites.
Oh, they're Wisconsin, so they're used to dairy. So.
Yeah.
Oh, you can always come up here and have some Culvers.
There you go.
Yeah.
We got Culvers. They got that. It's not actually ice cream. It's frozen custard.
Mm-hmm. We haven't made our way to Wisconsin yet. We've been in a lot of states, but Wisconsin's one of them that we haven't hit. What would you say is, like, if you come to Wisconsin, you got to come and investigate this place?
Joe?
That's a tough choice.
It's a very tough choice. We got a lot of stuff here that goes down. We got a couple of places. They're parks. One of them is Wildcat Mountain.
Hmm.
That's up by Minnesota up there. Was it Eau Claire area or La Crosse area?
Over by, it's closer to Hillsboro.
Okay, here's Hillsboro. And then we have what's that other one that's up there by Eau Claire? That they
Devil's
say
Punch Bowl's up
the
there.
Devil's Punch Bowl. That one is said to be not really like a haunted
It's
area.
enchanted.
It's
They
like
believe it's enchanted.
Mm-hmm.
Gnomes and fairies are to be seen around there apparently.
Interesting.
and then we do have a couple of asylums here too that can be
You-
looked
Yeah,
into.
you can never go wrong with an asylum.
No, those are definitely fun. You get a
Those
little bit of
definitely-
everything there.
They never disappoint.
Those, from what I hear, definitely have a lot of energy attached to them because of some of the things that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You check that out. Then of course, then there's what was that place? A lot of the cemeteries around here, but Forest Hill is the oldest in Madison.
Yeah, Forest Hill Cemetery in Madison is the oldest, and it has a Civil War section, it has a World War I section, it has a World War II section, and not only that, it is actually situated around effigy mounds. There are
Oh, wow.
actual effigy mounds inside the cemetery around some of the areas that for like Civil War and stuff.
Yeah, there's Bloody Bride Bridge. There's also the legend of the Hellhounds over by that. That's over by the La Crosse area.
Yeah, that's
And Mary
the
Dean.
Hellhounds on that island or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember that one. Yeah, there's a lot of them around here.
And then, of course, our favorite that we said something about earlier is Beast of Bray Road.
Mm-hmm. Well, if once we make our way to Wisconsin, we'll have to, tag team it on one of those locations.
Oh, definitely. If we can get everything set up, let us know that you're going to be in the area. We'll see what we can pull together.
Yeah,
we'll send CJ first, and then he can report back what we're going to run into.
Yeah, that's how it works.
He's our bait and our chum. So.
Actually,
Yeah.
you guys are that good. I'd like to have you up there with us to get an idea of what kind of energies that you're going to be sensing whenever we do go into that property.
Yeah, we haven't gone out to a lot of places in Wisconsin yet, so there's quite a few places that are still on our list here. We haven't got out of state yet. There's a few places close by in Iowa that we'd like to get to.
Eventually.
I mean, I just want to go just to say that I've been there and get my picture taken on the spot. I want to go to it.
How far from Chicago are you guys?
About 3 hours, 3.5.
No,
It's not bad.
no, we're not. We're only about just about a 2-hour drive.
Oh, so you're the faster driver. Okay.
So we drive
we have a few of those too.
I'm the professional driver.
I'm kind of
calls me the human GPS.
I haven't driven.
Professional sleeper on our group, so that's.
I don't drive much anymore. And when the last time I was driving for a living, I was in Madison. So yeah, back then from Dane County Airport to Chicago O'Hare was about a 3-hour drive.
Well, it depends on what time of the year and everything too.
Well,
and what road you take.
Well, I was driving cab, so you figure it out. That was for Union. But anyway, there's a lot of places, but the one I want to get to this year, hopefully, is in Iowa. It's where the plane crashed, the day music died.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Richie Valens and...
Richie Valens.
And...
it's Richie Valens,
Big Bopper,
and...
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's not too far away either. So
yeah, that's kind of a stone throw from us.
So you got to go to Jack's house while you're there.
Yeah, that and the Van Meter visitor. I think that's what they call it, Van Meter visitor. It's in Van Meter, Iowa.
Yeah, that's
a little bit more of a travel.
Yeah, just a little bit. That one is supposed to be a like a winged creature that flew back down into the mine, and they blasted it shut on it, and haven't. I don't think they. I'm not sure of the legend. He's read more about it than I have.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
if there's a haunted ice cream parlor nearby, let Travis know.
Yeah.
Travis has been a little quiet.
We'll find him. We'll find him a haunted ice cream parlor somewhere.
He's thinking about ice cream. He hasn't had dessert yet.
Oh, jeez.
You wanted to
That was a good
investigate
idea.
Ben Jerry's, but it's not haunted.
No, we do have some ice cream factories up here. We got Shep's and
The old Sheps. The old Sheps might be haunted though.
yeah, that's true too.
Travis
Yeah.
came to life.
I've never heard of any stories when I worked there, but you never know. The place is old. The old.
You
Sheps
never
ice
know.
cream
There could have
place.
been somebody, factory worker, making some ice cream, and he
Well,
got his,
Oh, in the
fell
vat.
into the vat, and now
Well-
it became cherry ice cream, and
died of
Now his-
frostbite, more or less.
now his ghost haunts the factory. We don't know,
I mean-
but we'll have to find out.
You ever work in an ice cream place? Man, I worked in one once, and it's like all summer long, constant cold because you're in there in the freezer, and it's below zero. So this stuff, when it's made and it comes through, gets frozen fast.
Hmm.
And so you're all bundled up in these winter, like you're going deer hunting, and then you got to go out and it's 90 plus degrees outside, right after work. You're outside, 90 plus degrees outside. Yeah. Instant cold all the time.
Hmm.
I could see somebody working there getting frostbite or just forgotten about and locked in a freezer. Find them the next day and it's a human icicle.
Hmm.
The Shining.
Lock him in the freezer.
Yep.
Oh, good grief! So, how far out west have you guys been?
For me, West Virginia, the group has hit Ohio a bunch of times. West Virginia, Nick is the most well-traveled because Nick was doing trips before the rest of us were in the group. So I know he's been to Deadwood and he's been out on the West Coast chasing after baseball stadiums and baseball sites while he's out there. But Nick, by far, the most well-traveled. We have tended to stay northeast, mid-Atlantic. When you watch the shows,
Right.
Ghost Adventures has been really targeting the West, and they always seem to be in Utah, California, and Arizona, Nevada. And then you watch Kindred Spirits, they're New England. And, you watch the shows, they kind of have their region. And we feel like we're like that mid-Atlantic region where it's New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut, Maryland, West Virginia, like Virginia, those type of areas seem to be where we're concentrated right now for proximity. Terry and Travis being down in Virginia, and the rest of us all being very close in Jersey.
Right. Well, I would assume that the East Coast there has more activity than most any other place because it's one of the oldest parts of the United States, and it's got, that's the New England area. I believe is where all the original 13 colonies were.
Yeah. You have the colonial aspect, definitely, way prior to the Civil War, a lot of older mansions that we're able to hit over in these areas that have been around for hundreds of years. So,
Then the Native American background that's all over the states.
Yep.
And then you add in all the Confederate stuff that happened back then.
Mhm.
That's down in that area. Man, that's got to keep them busy right there alone. With all the activity that's possible in those areas.
Mhm.
we can make a career out of Pennsylvania if we wanted. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, we've branched more into New England lately. We've been hitting Connecticut, Rhode Island, and those areas, and branching into there a little more.
Well, I was just actually going to mention Rhode Island. I was looking at your page here quick, and I see that you have Conjuring House, Harrisville, Rhode Island. Is that the only place in Rhode Island you guys have been?
So far.
Is there
So
any other-
far, yeah. And we'll be going back to Conjuring this Saturday for round 2. And then we've got Silver Spring Sanitarium, which we have booked for April. And we'll start to fill in, the rest of the dates and stuff. Other pretty cool locations that we're talking about setting up. We'll fill those in, at some point soon.
Yeah, we got to hit Penhurst at some point because Nick's been there, but the rest of us got to get over there.
Yeah, every time I go to Penhurst, I get physically affected there. Like the first time I walked into the Mayflower building, and it was like I was walking in quicksand. The second time I went there, as soon as I got out of my car, it's like something hit me, and it like just stopped me. Like something happened to my chest where I thought, I don't know if I was having a heart attack. That's what it felt like. But I felt I couldn't even walk. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Something's wrong. And then 10 minutes later, it was gone like nothing ever happened. And that was just like stepping foot on the property. So I don't know. It's something there just, likes to mess with me physically.
Right.
But I would love to go back, though. You can't scare me off.
So, when I mentioned the Conjuring House, and you mentioned another place right after that, a sanatorium.
Yeah, Silver Spring Sanatorium, and that's
Is that
in Silver
in Rhode
Spring.
Island?
That's in West Virginia, I believe.
West Virginia. Okay.
Yeah, that's West Virginia.
And that we didn't even know about that until Destination Fear went there, and we're like, wow, I mean, they've got some pretty cool stuff, but when we watch them, it's interesting and all, but they're not really doing all the investigation stuff. Like they'll go do a little EVP here and there, but I think if we got like all of us in there, I think we'd get some great stuff.
Yeah. So have you ever thought about maybe going to Roanoke and checking any of that out?
We'd love to go anywhere. We're very open-minded to going anywhere. If you tell us,
Roanoke,
on
Virginia?
location. What's that?
Roanoke Island.
Oh, Roanoke Island.
You know the story behind that about the colony that disappeared.
Yeah. They've actually done some excavation there lately that they think they've pretty much solved the mystery now, and they've been doing a lot of excavation over there.
They say that a lot on TV. It's all about the ratings.
Yeah, it is all about the ratings, but that has been a true mystery for quite a long time.
We got Chris here wanting to know what's the creepiest thing that happened at the Conjuring House.
Oh, CJ, this is all you.
What do you mean all me? So the creepiest thing for us that happened at the Conjuring House is we were in the main room where the supposed seance happened and the possession or whatever occurred there. And right away, once we started investigating, I kept hearing this voice, kept feeling this presence drawing me back towards the basement area, towards the back bathroom area. And it started pulling at the back of my shirt. And sure enough, Terry and our other psychic, Missy, they were also feeling drawn to that back bathroom. So we didn't know what was going on. So what do? We sent our buddy Travis, no fear, can't scare him. 3 of us were kind of freaked out. So we sent Travis in. He was looking at all these portals and he was like, that's probably why you're getting drawn in there. There were 2 portals facing each other, mirrors left and right. And, we didn't go in there at that time because we didn't know it was safe. However, this weekend when we go back, we're going back with a different attitude and we're going to get some answers that we may have missed the first time. So I'm excited to see all that.
Can I jump in and say the weirdest thing that happened at the Conjuring House was when we found that secret birthing room and Nick pretended to be giving birth.
Well, I was role playing, but to my credit, though, I did get some EVPs, though.
He did get some EVPs. And it was quite hilarious, but...
And he has
sometimes you got to have fun, lighten the mood a little bit. Yeah. And, we do that sometimes. Dave is always, the scare master, and CJ's always the victim, usually. So, we have fun on it, but, when it comes down to investigating, we're, locked in serious.
So I guess another question I've been kind of wondering: do any of you ever get spooked enough where you just take off, just leave the scene?
No. I ever was, and it's a funny story. We were at Rolling Hills Asylum, and I'm usually the daredevil, and they're asking me to go down the hall while they grid me, and I'm down the hall by myself, and it's like, one of those, the nurse was killed here and someone committed suicide. Go down the dark hall and stand there by yourself. And I'm like, 100 yards away, and I'm standing there in the dark, and I've got these 2 dark rooms next to me. And I look down the hall, and I hear 7 people scream at the same time and run in 7 different directions. And that was the longest walk of my life. crept down the hall. I didn't know what they saw. I didn't know what happened. I'm looking behind me, and I'm creeping up the hall. And by the time I finally get there, it was the longest walk I ever had. And I asked what happened, and they said they heard a noise. And when they looked in the room, 2 bats flew out at them, and they were in different directions. I was never so relieved to hear that. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Steve, I thought you were going to tell the Haldeman story.
The moral of that story is bats are scarier than ghosts.
Okay, so you want me to tell the Haldeman story? That was another one. We were in the final room that we went in was the creepiest room, and it was the one room that was like just presenting dark stuff, like didn't want us there and get out kind of stuff.
That was the maid's kitchen. It was a separate house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're up there, and Terry's sitting on the floor taking notes, and Melissa's got her phone app out, and Nick's doing a session out loud, and we're all standing there, and the timing could not have been worse. Because right when Nick got a negative answer, a bug hit my leg, and I felt its wings flapping on my leg. And right when Nick goes, it just said it's taking us to hell. And all of a sudden I went, what the? And I jumped in the air, and I never saw a group of people move so fast in my life. Terry was trying to stand up to get down the stairs. Nick did a complete 180 in the air, landed in front of me, and I could see the sweat pouring down the side of his face immediately. I thought Melissa threw her phone and screamed. Like, we all just went, and the timing could not have been worse. It just said, go to hell. And all of a sudden I was like, what the hell? And I screamed, and everyone in the room just blood curdling.
Oh, my God.
Timing is everything. But the thing was, it wasn't planned. It was an accident. But I spent 45 minutes on the car ride home laughing about it because I couldn't get it out of my head.
You spent the whole week laughing about it.
I've heard that story at least maybe 15 times.
That story helped me develop abs again because I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then after that, in that kitchen, Travis ended up getting scratched there, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After the bug incident, Travis got scratched.
Wow.
Well, that's the most scared I've seen Travis. When we were in the one room, Travis was kind of staring, and we're like, Travis, what do you see? What do you see? And he's like, well, he's presenting himself, and like, what's wrong? And he's like, he doesn't have a head. And we're like, what? And then, our mediums that were remotely connecting were like, probably time for you to leave that room because they just don't want you to be there, and they're projecting scary things to get you out of there. So we decided it's time to leave that room.
Mm-hmm.
When we were at Balladary, we
That's
didn't.
Gettysburg.
Yeah, in Gettysburg. We didn't know it at first, but so we were in my room. We were doing EVP section, and first and last name came in so clearly, and it's actually my last name was pronounced the common way. It's mispronounced by everybody, and that was the moment where I was like, I might sleep in the car. Like I got a little spooked. Nothing too crazy.
That was Danny.
Just try to put on a big tough guy. I'm not even gonna lie. I was scared the shit out of me.
Well, what's funny about that is we'll get our names said, and they'll say our names over the spirit box and on the Ovilus, and we've always heard our first names being mentioned. But to hear Joe's first and last name, and Joe's face turned around and looked at us, and we were like, oh my God, we've never heard a last name said before. And that's what put it over the top. Like, Joe looked terrified.
The creepiest thing is when you get one of us coming through on the ghost box. And we had Travis's voice come through at the Exchange Hotel. It came through on the ghost box, and we were like, you're right here. Why are you coming out of here? And also, my voice came through at the Mud House in Waldorf, Maryland, which was pretty crazy, too.
And I found it interesting a couple times. We had the music box not playing, and we heard the music box over the box.
Yeah. Or sometimes if we have a REM pod off, we'll hear the REM pod sound come through on the ghost box, like the beeping. It's some weird stuff that goes on.
But I don't think any of that comes close to the dog. Do you want to tell me about the
dog? So
Mostly.
we're doing a client case. We were there maybe 2 weeks ago. And one of the instances that he said is, his dog, he put him down December 7th. They had the vet come out, and they put him down in the TV room right in front of the sofa. And, he says sometimes he'll feel him there. So we're trying to do EVP sessions, and, we're doing Ghost Box. and we're getting clues as far as what's going on here. We ended up getting the dog's name come through on the ghost box, and then we said, "Oh, it's Major," which was the dog's name. It's Major here, and then we got a voice said he's here, and then Melissa asks, "Oh, can you bark for us?" And we're continuing on, and then as clear as day, you can hear the dog bark. And we played this for the homeowner, and he was just like, he got so emotional. He ended up sending us the clip of, his dog when it was alive barking, and I mean, it's the same exact bark. We actually have that clip on our Facebook page. I urge everybody to go over to our Facebook page and check it out because it is incredible. If you're a pet lover and you've lost a pet, this is pure proof that the pets, they can stay behind. And to me, that's comforting. Like when I lost my dog, his name was Cubby. It was a Maltese. It was tough. And usually when I go to shower, he would press up against the door and I'd hear that door move. And that day that he passed away, I went to shower and that happened. And that's the last time that I've heard it happen. Sometimes when we're sleeping, Melissa will feel like little feet on the bed. You want to go into that?
Yeah, there's been times where I'm just laying there and it does feel like little tiny paws are walking like over my legs, and I think it's our current dog, but I look over and he's next to me sleeping, so I don't know. I assume it's him. I'm gonna believe it's him.
Oh,
Well, hey, anything's possible, and it's
yeah,
like
anything is possible.
if we got a spirit, what's to say the animals don't have a spirit?
Exactly.
But then my question though is, okay, we can have dog spirit, cat spirits, maybe a horse spirit, but you never hear about like insect spirits or anything like that. I mean, is it maybe just animals that have been like you've had that human touch with them? Maybe there's more of the soul there. I don't know, but it's interesting.
It is interesting. Somebody's got a question here.
Actually, it's a pretty good question.
Yeah, it is. Do you guys prepare differently for client cases and go into with a different mindset since the family still has to live there if you find evidence of a haunting?
I would say 100% because we're not allowed to disclose what we find in a private one because you could devalue the house worth for real estate. It has to be privately done. In those circumstances, unlike a hotspot location where we've paid to be there or we've been invited to be there, we have to clear certain things, like if there's animals and things that have to be debunked and noise in the background that has to be accounted for prior. It might not be an isolated location where there could be traffic outside. So there's all kinds of things that have to be considered, when you walk into a private location. It's very different. And the last thing we don't provoke anywhere we go, but the last thing you want to do is provoke something or stir something up that someone's going to have to deal with on the back end. We kind of go in open hearts, open minds to every place we go. We're here to help. We're here to receive any information that you want to present. We're here to help try and communicate. If there's anything we can do for you, that's our mentality in all investigations, but especially in someone's private home. You have to have that respect.
Right.
And also building off that, we typically do not put any client case footage on there. But the homeowner was like, you can put this on there because it's that awesome. So he gave us permission. He's like, I'm not leaving this house. I'm going to die here. So,
Right.
we're not going to put anything else but that because it's such amazing footage. We posted that. And also, you have to be very cautious when you do a client case because a lot of these families, they put, all their last penny into having this place. So you need to be sure that you're not saying it's demonic or anything like that if it's not.
Right.
And, you better be certain that what you say to them, you're taking into consideration that it may freak them out to know that there's a spirit there. So a lot of times we'll tell them, look, if we investigate and we find something, you still have to live there, knowing that you have something. But, thankfully, due to the connections that we have, We've got a bunch of different shaman that we worked with on client cases. If someone needs to be evicted, we can do it, and it's awesome. And going back to what Dave was talking about with moving animals and stuff. We actually had a client case where the client had a full-sized pig in the kitchen, and we had to move the pig out to the garage so that we can not have that contamination. So, I
Right.
mean, we've had so many crazy experiences and situations and all, and it's just the challenge when you're working with a client is to work around it so that we can get the most controlled situation and get the best evidence that we can.
Right. So yeah, building on what you just said there too. We have another person that's watching here. They asked the question: do you ever leave the spirit to stay where they are, or do you always release them? So is it just depends on how the client wants it, or is it depend on how the spirit is?
Well, it really depends on the situation. If grandma's hanging out in the house, then, they're okay keeping her there. If there's something that's attacking, then obviously we're going to get rid of them. In my own house, we have two spirits, and I know exactly who they are, and they kind of look out for us. They keep other spirits out of the house. And Terry's got constantly has some activity in her house as far as some of the friends because she's so open. So she's always got hitchhikers that come over and want to hang out with her.
And
And
I get random stuff. Like there was an accident at my job, 6 months ago, Nick?
mhm.
And it was a fatality. It was a random guy that came into our construction zone and died in a car accident, but he followed me home. So he was here for a couple days and actually alerted me to something really negative in the house that we had to have the shaman take care of. So, and then he moved on after he told me what was going on and then moved on. So
Yeah, he was like, peace.
peace out. Yeah. So sometimes they want to go and that makes it easy for us if they just want to go.
Right.
Because we had no reason to stay here with me.
Yeah.
I also think like sometimes the spirit choose you in a way. Like sometimes I know personally for me, you make us kind of like a personal connection with these spirits, and your heart really hurts for them, and you could feel like their pain and their suffering.
Yeah.
You want to do the best that you can, so you want to help them. And most people, what they don't understand with if you don't have these abilities is that we feel like what they went through. We feel the sadness and the torture and all the anger and stuff like that that they felt when they were alive, and the continued suffering they have being trapped where they are. So in that way, when we make those connections, you kind of want to do everything in your power to help them. And when you do help them, that's a feeling that just makes this all worth it. All the dangers and the evil stuff that we face, completely worth it.
And we've actually got a great story recently. CJ, you want to talk about Isabella?
Yeah. So
You and Terry took care of this.
Hold on a second. Okay, just wait. I'm sorry. I'm gonna wrap things up, and we can put that on the bonus after this, and I'll record that. Okay, for our bonus because we've made the hour mark. So again, if you want to check out these guys, check it out at eastcoastspiritchasers.com. The link's going across the bottom of the screen. And Friday, we are going to have Ernie Pack from Pac-Man Paranormal on Friday. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube and subscribe. And coming in March, we are going to paraflex.com as well.
Now, before we do end it, is there any other website you want to?
I was just going to ask that.
Well, we're on all social media: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look us up, East Coast Spirit Chasers. Subscribe, follow, like, share, comment. We'd love to hear from you guys.
And you've got all your links on your front page of your East Coast Spirit Chasers, right?
And you're going back where on Saturday?
To the Conjuring House.
So they're going back to the Conjuring House. So look forward to seeing that on their website and their
and we'll be going live from there. So definitely check us out.
Check that out.
Facebook Live.
Definitely check that out.
Yep.
I'll be watching that one. So, all right, till Friday. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.